share this stuff. Share it on Facebook, share it on email, share it on Rumble, share it everywhere you possibly can. Hey, if you got a great idea, write down the name of the show and the website address. Fax it to everybody you know who's really watching the show and go right it. Share some more. States of America. Greetings to every single one of you all over the planet. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Kevin J. Johnston Show that runs every Tuesday, 9 p.m. New York time, 7 p.m. Calgary time. That is correct, everybody. We cannot wait to have you here. My name, of course, is Kevin J. Johnston, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be here last week, everybody, but I want to have a special thank you that goes out to Stefanos Karatopoulos and Ed Janisek for making sure the show went down without a hitch last week, which apparently it did. So don't worry, guys. I'm back. And we've got special guests tonight, April LaJUNE. You know, that great American lady from the central United States who knows everything about everything. She'll be joining us very shortly. And Mr. Mike Martins from Mike in the Night, the radio show. He'll be here. Also, we have a lot to talk about in reference to American politics, American property values, Joey Biden, and a few of the others. But let's start off with something a little funny, shall we? Oh, my Lord, can anybody please tell me what movie coming up? It's a new feature, supposedly. We don't know if it's going to be filmed yet or not because of backlash, but tell me what movie you think that this is. There you go. All right. We have people dressed up like weirdos. What movie would this be? Does this image help anyone at all? All right. Does this one help? How about this one? Yeah, that's right. What you're looking at here, everybody, are the 7 dwarfs from Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Here's the problem. Snow White, she ain't white. This is her here. Snow White is being played by Rachel Zegler. She can dance, so she got a role in West Side Story because West Side Story was not supposed to be about white kids. It was supposed to be about Latino kids. So we've got this hardcore fundamentalist racist individual who hates white people and hates the patriarchy and men and all this garbage. But have a look at this photograph, everybody. Come on, take a close look. What's wrong with this? Keep in mind, this is not a white chick. All right. She is Hispanic. Look at her face. Look at her neck. Look at her shoulders. Face, neck, shoulders. What do you see? Right. Her shoulders are brown, right? Because she's brown. And her face and neck are completely and totally white. If you look carefully at the photograph, full screen it, everybody, she is so covered in makeup that that's not even her skin that you're seeing. And the makeup is designed to make her look white. But then she goes out. I'm going to add this to the stream now. This is off of Truth Social, everyone. Follow me there. Just my name, Kevin J. Johnston. I'm going to play the video now for everybody. Here we go.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just and who can become a fantastic leader. And the reality is, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom.
Also, the fact that she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's the proactive one, and she's the one who set the terms, is what makes it so relevant to where we are today.
Snow White sets the terms? In what world? It's a German fantasy novel that Walt Disney made. It was Walt Disney's first feature-length animated film, feature length. And when he made this thing, it was funny. Do you know why? Because he took a very serious story and made it entertaining. He made it family oriented. The Brothers Grimm and other writers like them, they wrote some really disturbing stuff, like Red Riding Hood, for example. The wolf actually eats the grandmother, and the lumberjack that comes by later on cuts the wolf open to rescue the grandmother. Or the Three Little Pigs in the Brothers Grimm version, that when the wolf finally can't blow down the house of bricks, he tries to come down the chimney. And the final line of that book is the wolf fall into the soup pot and the pig eat him for supper. Like, it's very poorly translated when it was written this way. But yeah, they were really gross stories. Walt Disney made it funny. Well, have a look at this stupidity. What is this? So on the far left side, we've got this bizarre hippie looking freak show maniac, hipster beard, whatever. Then we have, I guess, a black Princess Leia. And the sun is reflecting off her forehead to the point where my eyes hurt. Then you've got a Jimmy Walker lookalike. Remember that show Good Times? Now, Jimmy Walker was funny. This guy's not funny at all. I've seen an interview with that clown, and he's not funny. Then you got a pirate, I think, with a rope. Is he like a white pirate? Then you've got a white goof with a stick, purple toque, blue shirt. Like, Stefanos, come in here, man. Like, what is this? What is this crap?
Kevin, you said JJ, and I think you should play the white JJ, and we bring that show back. You'd make an excellent JJ. And again,
I want to remake Malcolm X starring me and the Muhammad Ali story starring me, just to get the left wing going here. All right, we're not done insulting these guys. We've got Shaft. Remember Shaft from the 70s? Right? The cool guy with the cool afro, except that would be the gay Shaft, the not so cool version. The one dwarf they have doesn't even have a left arm. And then you got to look at this picture here to see the gay white guy in jeans. What in the hell are we doing here? So
it looks to me like a bunch of hippies out in the countryside trying to take a bunch of LSD and become one with nature.
So Snow White becomes, I guess, a princess because a prince rescues her and says, hey, that chick is hot. I'm going to marry that chick and I'm going to have hot kids. And by default in German folklore, and I guess in German political circles, if a prince married a chick, she became a princess. And when the king or queen died, the prince became king. And by default, she would become queen. So if you're not going to have the prince come in and rescue this racist pig here, well, how would Snow White become somebody of political influence later on? So I don't even think that they have a completed script here. We do have Walt Disney telling all of us that this is somehow the right thing to do. We don't have dwarves playing dwarves.
Look, you know what kills me about that interview she was doing? She's saying that it's dated. 75 years, 100 years, who cares?
Right.
There's no such thing as dating. But one thing she does admit during this, and that is the UN Agenda 21, and that's the empowerment of women and girls. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this kind of stuff or not. It's all in their municipal primers. This is why the municipalities are so aside of the fact that they're full of Antifa and communists now. But this is, I think,
one more time. This is ridiculous. All right. So let's just tell the truth here, that some of the ladies watching may not like. The left-wing nuts who are here right now definitely will not like. And we don't care about them in any way, shape, or form. But ladies, what happens when someone's beating you up? Who do you call for? You call for a man to come over and rescue you. And it's not women that come over and hit the assailant with the purse. It's guys that come over and hit him with a fist and a knee and a leg and a lead pipe and so on. You know, our gender roles were defined 250,000 years ago. Evolution dictates that women had to be weaker and softer and more emotional to take care of their offspring. Otherwise, we would not be here. And men had to go out and die fighting saber-toothed cats to bring home dinner. And if men didn't do that, we wouldn't be here. You know? And then when we say that this is the right way to represent this from 85 years ago or more, which is actually realistically from 150 plus years ago, yeah, how are we making things better? We're not. Because there's a lot of women out there that say things like, oh, Gal Gadot, when she's Wonder Woman, she's awesome. And these chicks, they get onto radio shows and TV shows and podcasts all over the Western world saying, well, if some guy breaks into my house, I'll just kick his ass. No, you won't. No, you will not. Look, I used to do this. All right, Stefanos. I used to put on all the gear for women's self-defense. I volunteered my time, and the gear I had on was chest protector, elbow pads, a helmet with a soft front with like yellow transparent eyes over top. So in case they did hit me in the eye, that it wouldn't actually hit my eye. The outfit was designed to cave in a bit so they wouldn't hurt themselves punching it. I had knee pads on. I had the whole bit. And these women, like I would grab an arm and hold it. And their job was to get me to let go of their arm by hitting and slapping and kicking. And almost none of them could. Yeah, none of them could. So I would pull the costumes off and I would say, look, ladies, I can bench press. At the time, it was about 250. I can bench press that much and I can leg press almost 1,000 pounds. And here's the deal. I like women and I'm just holding you there without the intent of hurting you. Like I've just got a grip on them. But how are you ladies going to come across a guy who's, let's say, I don't know, a 25-year boxer, plus he's got Aikido training, plus he hates his mother and women, plus on top of that, he can bench press 600 and so on. How would you fight a guy like that off? These messages that we're sending out there about the fact that women do not need men are leading women down the wrong pathway because they all think they can do things that they can't. Biology determines this. At least we can say this. The American women's national swim team have now said they will walk off. They will quit if any more biological males swim for them. That's good. Now, that's good for two reasons. Number one, men should not be in women's sports, period. And number two, women are finally seeing that, oh, yeah, you know, maybe the feminists were wrong. Maybe we do need men in our lives. Maybe we do need men to protect us. Maybe we should be a bit more respectful. Maybe now that the far left has had its way, we realize, oh, the stuff that we're clamoring for isn't really what we want.
Well, Kevin, I think you may have failed as the person they have to beat up to break away from, because I know for a fact that a lot of them that teach these self-defense courses for women, they intentionally let go so it empowers them, so they feel stronger and encourages them. Is that the right thing or the wrong thing? I don't know. But
no, it's the wrongest thing in the world to do, to tell someone, I'm taking your money. You're in a self-defense course. We're going to teach you how to protect your own life. We're going to show you how not to get raped by a psychopath. And then they let go and they go, oh, like this. And there is one, I'll never forget it. She was about 5'4" and she was really mouthy and so on. So I just stood there and I let her do the double in the face because I had that mask on. Eventually, I just said, okay, you're not doing anything. So I popped the helmet off and I said, now do that again. And she starts hitting me in the face and she's getting all upset that I'm not going down. And eventually she got one in right here that hurt. And I turned and I looked at her, grabbed the top of her shirt here, grabbed the waist on her pants and just picked her up right over my head. All right. To say, don't get confident or overconfident. Sorry. Don't get cocky. What the hell are you sticking around for? even me, Stefanos, I've got fighting experience, 4 years of boxing, in fact. If I'm going to be in a fight, it's boom, boom, boom. The guy's down and I'm gone. I'm not sticking around. I got nothing to prove. You don't know if he's got a knife. You don't know if he's got more buddies coming. And if you all remember live on Facebook during the 2021 mayor campaign for Calgary, Antifa, they tried to ambush me. I was talking to 3 of them because they were stealing my signs. And they started screaming and yelling at me. And then 4 more showed up. So it's a 7-on-1 situation. I'm not sticking around. I ran, I pushed, I shoved, I got them off me, and I took off. Why? This is not Hollywood. I don't get points for throwing kicks and punches. And that's what these courses teach women. Stick around, beat them up, humiliate them, stand over top of them, pump your arms like this. It's the wrongest message in the world. Don't do that. If you can get an eye strike in there or a ball strike, good. If he drops, run.
Yeah.
And then call 911.
Yeah. And I've been fighting for several years too, but in different disciplines. But the whole fact is, I think giving them a little of encouragement so they can build confidence is a good thing, but not overconfident, as you said. And one of the worst things that you can ever do is turn your head. If you got a punch coming in, don't turn your head. Even if you eat it, don't turn your head, because the second you turn your head, you're not going to see where the next one's coming. And by God, never turn your back. That's the absolute worst you can do. And Sylvia, we're not assuming anybody's weak. I'm just saying in these type of situations, you got to be very careful on what they're teaching, especially on the smaller women.
Well, yeah, there you go. So we just wanted to bring all this up, everybody, because it is asinine that we want to take white literature and replace every single white face with really vile and vitriolic individuals. This creature here, this Rachel Zegler, I've listened to her speak on a couple of interviews, and she is just a horrendous human being. Anti-Christian, anti-everything. You know what? I got no time for this nonsense.
At the beginning of, I think it was the 50s, sometime in the 50s, I'd watch a whole documentary when they've tried this before to bring women superheroes, black superheroes and everything. And it failed horribly. But Wonder Woman, that was a great, one of my favorite superhero flicks, but it wasn't because she was doing all this astounding stuff. I'm not even going to say why, but
it's because Linda Carter was hot in the 70s as Wonder Woman. I mean, even as a 10-year-old, I was going, Wonder Woman. Hey, who cares what the story was? I remember there was a talking computer named Ira, and that's all I remember. The rest of it was Linda Carter. And she's what, 74 now? Have you seen her at 74? That woman is gorgeous. Whoa. So, hold on. Wait. Twyla's here. We got to say hello here. Not really sure what women think that. I can look after many things myself, but it has nothing to do with man at all. I just want to do what I need to do and capable of. Just saying. Oh, no, I get that, Twyla. I mean, there are a lot of independent women out there like yourself. You and I've met, and I know that I know that you're a strong and independent lady. The point of it is not all women are. And biology dictates that, not them themselves. That's all that means. Okay. All right. What's next here? That's Zendaya, Black Mary Jane. Zendaya is another one of those anti-white people. I can't stand her, and so on. Blah, 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 blah. The list goes on. Now, Estefanos, before we bring April LaJUNE on, our American friend is waiting. She's standing by. I have some American news that today I had to make an Instagram video about. By the way, everybody follow me on Instagram. Just my name, Instagram.com/Kevin J. Johnston. Joe Biden, the man who literally defecates in his pants while talking to international leaders, literally, he does this, has a dog, German Shepherd, I believe, called Commander. Commander. I don't think he named that. He's not creative enough to have picked that name for the first dog in the White House. The Secret Service guys are complaining that this dog has bitten 10 of them. All right. So if the Secret Service guys in the States are watching, your job is, I know, to protect the president and the vice president and some of the staff and their families. I know that. But are you guys just not fed up with this yet? Are you not tired of this idiot not knowing who he is and where he is? Are you tired of this guy yet crapping on the floor in the White House? Are you tired of cleaning up his pee when he doesn't know where he is? Aren't you guys tired of this yet? You know he's a traitor, right? You know he didn't win the election, right? Aren't you guys? Hey, you're complaining to us that his dog bites you. What do you want me to do?
It's Biden. It's Biden's drug sniffing dog. What do you think? There's all that coke in the White House.
So maybe the dog was upset that Joe Biden and his son were sniffing all the cocaine. Because, this is what people don't know about drug sniffing dogs. The reason that the dog can detect the drugs is not because they train the dog and say, hey, Rover, this is cocaine. You smell that? Okay. This is weed. This is heroin. This is ketamine. This is crack. This is ice. These are prescription drugs. This is alcohol. No, you don't tell the dog what the drug is by name. You addict the dog. The dogs are deliberately addicted to these drugs. That's how the dog can sniff it out. All right. It's cold and cruel that they do this. They hook dogs on this crap, but that's really how it works. So the dog is biting Secret Service guys. April LaJUNE, welcome to the show. We love having you here. How is everything in Central America? And I say Central United States, we should say, not Central America. Oh, April. Uh-oh. Hold on. Wait. Try it now.
It's super hot.
There you go. You're in.
It's super hot. It's like 100 degrees out, and it's supposed to be 92 or something like that at 9:00 tonight.
Oh. Well, that's Florida weather.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm out here too. I got the AC on. I got to try to make me stay cool here. Brutal.
Well,
I have my air conditioning set on 63, and it's still kind of hot in here.
63.
Oh, yeah.
That's cold.
I know, but it's not that cold in here.
Oh, okay. Is there a hole in the AC line?
No, it's just super hot outside.
Well, I never complain about super hot. I love super hot. I hate winter. I'm the first one to admit that up until I'd say about age 25, I loved winter and the cold because I was snowboarding and building forts and doing all that stuff. But the older I get, the more of a whiny bitch I become in the winter. I admit that. I'm a whiny, miserable, cranky 87-year-old man with hemorrhoids this big. That's how I feel in wintertime now. So I got to do something about that. I'll tell you this, folks, for our American friends watching, in the city of Calgary, we're pretty far north. In fact, we're about 440 kilometers north of Toronto. What is that in miles? 280 miles north of Toronto, which means in June and July, the sun comes up at 4:45 a.m. and it's not going down till about 10 to 10:30 p.m. It's great. But in the winter, it comes up at like 7:45, almost 8 a.m. and it's down by 3:30 to 3:45. Wow. God, that fries me. I hate that. So I think I got to start spending my winters in maybe Argentina or something. I hate winter. All right, let's get into this. First thing I wanted to bring up, April, is there are a number of individuals, including Mike Pence, who have discussed at length in the USA, about the USA, that the Democrats are going to be alleviating themselves of doughy Joey Biden. They don't want to have him as the party leader anymore, which would mean that if they ditch him, if he has a heart attack or if he falls down the stairs, or I don't know, maybe he'll get caught having sex with his dog and they'll impeach him for that. It doesn't matter what it is. If they get rid of him, Kamala Harris becomes the president. Oh my God, we cannot have her in place, especially with nuclear codes. But they cannot obviously, in their minds, replace a partially black woman unless they do it with another black woman, which would mean Michael Obama, or somewhat known as Michelle Obama, would then be their pick for party leader. I got to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I don't think it's going to be Michelle Obama, but that's a good choice for the Democrats. But, I think Gavin Newsom has a better chance. I don't like him at all. But yeah, I think he's got a better chance of winning over the Democratic Party. And I think if they actually pushed Gavin Newsom more, they could win over probably even some of the Never Trumpers. That's how ridiculous the Never Trumpers are.
Yeah, well, the best part about YouTube is that YouTube does cater mostly to American news. And the best part about America is your protected right to free speech. And it is amazing how often Americans want to use that free speech to make themselves look like complete idiots.
I know.
Where they get interviewed and they say, would you vote for Donald Trump? No, I would never vote for Donald Trump because of Russia. And they don't even know what the hell they're
They
talking
don't even
about.
know what they're talking about.
No,
I know.
not at all.
Yeah. Gavin Newsom. See, Gavin Newsom looks like a star. You know what I mean? Hollywood, razzle dazzle, all that stuff. And so what happens is, and I know this is true in the United States of America. I don't know how true it is around the world. But in the United States of America, a lot of people vote for a person because of how they look. That's
well,
it.
It happened here too. Is that Justin Trudeau won because he had the curly locks. There's a lot of women that we interviewed after he took power back in 2017 who said that I voted for him because he's cute.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do here. Because I would say that that probably the majority of voters, and I'm going to say probably 75 to 85%, maybe even more, 75% of the voters have no idea what they're doing at all. I don't think you should be qualified to vote if you have no clue who's even running and you're just going to go by, he's cute.
Well, America, if you're watching, our country, this ridiculous Marxist communist dump known as the Dominion of Canada, is in the position that it's in now because women voted for Justin Trudeau specifically because he was cute. Although the United States, I seem to recall, made a similar mistake electing some guy because he was black. And everybody who was waiting for this clown to take office, they all thought that everything was going to be great and grand and he was going to do amazing things just because he was black. Then it turns out he's half black. So we don't even really have a black president yet. We had a half black president so far.
Yeah, exactly.
But they still want to say he was black. And you know, April, he was a complete idiot. He was the worst president ever until Biden showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the Smithsonian Museum, there's the Museum of Portraiture, where every president gets a chance to have a portrait painted and placed in there. Bill Clinton's is the stupidest friggin' thing you've ever seen. Well, actually, it's not. It's
until Obama came along.
Until Obama's. You know, here, I got to find this painting. Hold on there.
That painting is so ridiculous.
Yeah,
You know what? It looks like the same guy, and I think it is the same guy who did those pictures, the paintings of, remember Bill Clinton in the blue dress?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and George Bush with the paper airplanes?
Oh, yeah.
I think that is the same painter. I'm not sure, but it sure looks like it.
Oh, boy. All right. I'm just looking for the photograph right now. Sorry, folks. This new thing on the internet is called the WEP as opposed to a JPEG file. I hate these things.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that too.
WebD. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah.
I found a JPEG. Hold on. I'm going to bring it up right now. I want everyone to see how stupid this thing is and how this guy perceives himself, I suppose. Because remember, the painter can paint it, but the president or the former president still has to approve it.
Yeah.
And on the left side here, this is what that idiot approved.
Yeah.
All right. Leaves and a brown chair. The perspective is completely off. And that's him sitting there with his hands. Now, his hands are bigger than his head in this painting. You know, if a painter presented something that disproportionate of me, and I was the former president, knowing that the Secret Service still has to protect me, I'd slap him in the face. But, you know, when I was in the Smithsonian, it was all disgustingly overweight black women were lining up just to go click and take a picture of that picture. Yeah.
Well, look at the one of Michael.
Yeah, Michael.
That's ridiculous.
Michael Obama. Michael. Not Michelle.
Yeah, you know
Michael's
that Tucker Carlson indicated that everybody in Washington, D.C. knows that.
Joan Rivers said that, and 2 weeks later she died.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but Tucker Carlson, I want to say in episode 6 or 7 of his thing on Twitter, did you know he's broadcasting there?
I know he's broadcasting on Twitter. Yes.
Okay. Well, in one of those episodes, he indicated that people already know that Michelle Obama is a guy. And I thought, are you seriously kidding me? Tucker Carlson is literally throwing it out there. And, you know, he's not going to throw out something. I don't think he's going to throw out something that's not true. I think he would rather suppress it than throw it out there if it's not true. You know what I mean? Because
I do. Okay,
Yeah.
so here, this is what I want to do. This is what got Joan Rivers killed by Barack Obama's cabinet.
yeah.
Let's add this to the stream and let's play this now.
Miss Rivers, how are you? You made a ton of news officiating the wedding in New York yesterday. Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I am so excited.
Okay.
And I should do very well because I don't show.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman
we already
president?
have it with Obama. So let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, gosh. It's okay. She does this.
Yeah. And you can tell when Joan Rivers is joking, and she wasn't joking then.
No, she wasn't kidding at all. Yeah, and there was that one. I don't know if everyone, you guys can all watch this. I'm not going to dig this out. Watch it for yourself. When Michael Obama, you know, the first man of America, was on the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
He was dancing like this,
Yep.
in really loose-fitting white pants, and
Yep.
his genitalia, which is as long as my head is tall, was going inside the pants.
Yeah, that was so weird.
I kept, like, I was Scooby-Doo. I was going, "Arr, rr, arr, arr, arr." I kept playing it back. I was floored. So I honestly believe that Michael Obama is a man, and that was the first man of the United States of America. And yeah, it just keeps getting worse. Why is it that Americans no longer want to hold on to their traditional values? It's really, even if Obama is gay, he should have had a fake woman in there. You know?
Well, oh, by the way, there's more than 12 viewers. I don't know what that guy's looking at. Could be on my Facebook or something, because not a lot of people.
Oh, guys, look.
I'm not even, I don't even know if I'm on.
Give it up. Okay. What happens here is we are shadow banned galore. All right. We know, based on the number of emails that we get during and after the show, that there are tens of thousands of people watching. But Facebook, because we're conservatives and Christian, Facebook will not show those numbers. I don't care about Facebook's numbers anymore. And
Yeah, I don't care about mine anymore either, because it's like you have to add 2 zeros on the end of whatever is actually showing. So
correct.
And don't forget, we're on multiple platforms, so it's not just Facebook, right?
Yeah. So who cares? All right, let's get into like the seriousness now. We have the Democrats are worse than the liberals here in Canada. They are dictators, essentially. They are now indicting Trump for a third time to try to get him not to be able to run for president of the United States, which they did to me in Calgary. They locked me up for 7 weeks when I polled number 1 in the Calgary mayor race. So this is the way politics are in North America now, which leads me to my biggest concern. Is Joe Biden, not him, is the administration going to find a way to cancel the 2024 election? And if so, how could they do it? April, you're up.
I don't think that they're going to be able to do it, because the American people are looking so closely at the election system itself. If they tried to cancel that, I think we would see some kind of civil unrest, civil war, whatever, because I can tell you right now, the states are pushing back hard on the federal government, because really, truthfully, the federal government doesn't mean squat. And they know that we know it. So if they want to pretend as if they're going to get rid of elections, I'm pretty sure that we're just going to say, you know what? How about this? Y'all go over there, do your thing. We're going to have our own elections, and we're going to elect President Trump again. And you can just run yourself over there in Washington, D.C., and we'll run ourselves from a different location. I'm fine with that. Washington, D.C. doesn't mean that much to me. It's ridiculous. And I
don't
think
it's meaning a lot to a lot of Americans now, April. I mean, people are they're disenfranchised.
Well, here's the dumb part. I would say that most young people, probably 30 and under. And I say 30 and under because it's like the age of dumbness is getting higher. So they don't even know that Washington, D.C. is the capital, supposedly the capital of the United States of America. They don't even understand that it is a separate sovereign area that is like a country within the United States of America. Do you know that?
Yes, it was the states. Which one? It was Maryland, Virginia, and there's one West Virginia, I think it is. Yeah, they all gave up a small piece of land so that the District of Columbia, which is what DC stands for, could be a completely independent and autonomous region within the country. Now, April, you and I did talk about this, and that it appears that the American structure is a little more bizarre than we think it is. So Washington, D.C. is completely and totally federal land, which is why it doesn't have any voting power. You know,
that's part of it.
Right. Okay. But do you remember we talked about this? Everyone, look at the map of Oklahoma if you can. All right. Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. I remember what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah. So Oklahoma has a panhandle. Let me see if I can bring it up to everybody here. On the northwest side, which is north of Texas. Yes. Hold on. I'm actually going to bring this up. I want people to understand this. This is actually very, very important to know. Here we go. I found an image. Better yet, I'm just going to share. StreamYard is very difficult to share stuff in. It's annoying. Present, share screen, Oklahoma. Here we are. And now I have to click a third time. There we go. So the panhandle that you see there on the far left side, Texas to the south, Kansas to the north, Colorado to the northwest, and New Mexico to the extreme west. That area there, in fact, I'll move my mouse on it. This area here was actually federal land for the longest time. It was not part of any state. Now, what happened with that, everybody, is there was no law, there was no police force, there were no courthouses, there were no jails, there was no nothing there, because that entire section of land was no man's land. So a city was built there called Beertown, and everybody went there to do whatever they wanted because there was no way to govern it. There were no police forces that could police it legally. So the federal government in Washington, D.C. says, hey, you know what? We have to give that piece of land to someone. I don't know. Who wants it? Texas said, nah, too much trouble. New Mexico said no. Colorado said no. You know, and Kansas said no. I think the Kansas state was actually probably the most vocal about not wanting it because it was just too wild. So Oklahoma gets it for some reason. Then all of a sudden there are police, there are courthouses, there are jails, and Beertown disappeared. And all of the killing and murdering and raping and everything else disappeared overnight as well. So that leads me to the conclusion that the federal government of America actually has zero power. I got to get your take on that, April. You're up.
That's exactly true. Whenever they do these things that are like they vote and they say something about a democracy, they're only talking about Washington, D.C. itself, because the rest of the states do not have to do anything that the federal government says at all, especially if it is unconstitutional. And the states are starting to figure that out now. Texas is being sued by the Biden administration because they put a barrier in the water to stop illegal immigration across the water area. So now the Biden administration is trying to stop them from doing that and allow illegals to cross over. And Texas said, I don't care. We're not taking out the barrier. And so the federal government really has no power. And there was something else that just recently happened. And the federal government requested something from Texas, and it could have been the barrier thing. And I thought to myself, are the people reading this? Are the people actually reading that the federal government is, yes, there it is right there, requesting that they do this? That means that they can say, we're not going to do it. Get out of our land. We don't care. You can't even come here. And Florida has said no to the federal government. South Dakota In fact, Mike Parson, amazingly, in Missouri said no to the federal government recently. So yeah, the states are starting to understand. We don't need the federal government. We actually don't need them for anything. Nothing.
Okay. What about defense? Is that federal, or do the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines work
federal.
independent?
It's federal to a point, but because they have made the military weak now, places like Texas are starting to call out their National Guard and say, okay, if you guys can't do it, we're going to do it ourselves. And that's pretty much really the state has right to do that.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, because there's also, and I'm going to bring Stefanos back in, because in Canada we have the Dominion of Canada. There's 10 provinces and 3 territories, but each province is an independent country, and the territories are just run by the capital city of Ottawa. And we know that each province is a completely independent country because they've got their own education systems, their own healthcare systems, and their own highway numbering systems. So there's no such thing as the interstate highway system in Canada, for example. There's no federal highway system. As soon as, like, for example, Highway 401 in Ontario, which would connect Detroit and Windsor all the way out east to the Quebec border, it becomes Highway 2 as soon as you cross into Quebec. And Quebec is completely responsible for maintaining the highway there. It's all independent. People don't seem to understand this. And I would much rather now see the Republican states become their own nation and let the Democratic states die. Just die. Grow up.
Yeah, and I think, April, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Texas is its own independent state. They're not officially in part of the state somehow. I can't remember how that worked. And this is why they can get away with certain things that everyone else can't. And
No, we can do the same. We can do exactly the same thing that Texas is doing. Every state can do the same exact thing. What happens is we have the Constitution that is supposed to be over the entire United States, because there's like a contract between the states to agree that the Constitution itself is going to be the governing law, the top law of the entire area. And each state has its own constitution that in their constitution says that they are going to acquiesce to the federal constitution. And most constitutions, except for South Carolina, that's a whole different ballgame. They say in their constitutions that they are going to uphold the United States Constitution.
Yeah, so and so that's something kind of like in Canada, except we don't have all these mini constitutions everywhere. But what Kevin did bring up is things such as Quebec. Quebec runs on a whole different system of law there. They run on Marxism, the Roman Code. This is why our healthcare system. You can get private healthcare in Quebec. They tried to challenge it in BC and failed because BC runs on a whole, on the rest of the system Canada's on. So, and then we have our division of powers in the Constitution, which says federal is federal, provincial is this. And, we've been seeing on the gun issues where the federal government's been trying to tell the municipalities that they can get like a central storage station for all the firearms of people. No, they can't do that. And that would be the federal government going in the jurisdiction that's not theirs. So, municipalities are totally under the province and not federal jurisdiction whatsoever.
Well, it's the people that actually, if the people don't recognize the government as the power, the people are actually the power in any country, wherever it is. And which is kind of interesting. And I don't think the people always understand that they actually have more power than the government itself. Now, when they do start realizing that, then the people they uprise and they take over the government, which, that's, let me put it to you this way. I can see where the individual states will actually close off the federal government from even stepping foot in their state. Like, I dare you to cross this border. I dare you. Because they're not going to put up with the crap that's coming from the Biden administration. So I don't really care if cackling Kamala becomes whatever, okay? She steps her foot on my property right here, there's going to be a problem, okay? Because each one of our individual pieces of property, we can put no trespassing, and that includes the federal government. That includes the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
So,
and again, I've watched several videos from the U.S. Where they're people holding the police to account in states and stuff, and where they'll call the sheriff over their municipal police there, and they pull rank over him. But
yes.
and there's something interesting here. Denny, he's in Quebec, and he had a legal aid lawyer, and he says in there that she never agreed with the division of powers. And you know what? You would have to look and actually read the Constitution, because in our Constitution, it has different provinces have different powers and rights over other provinces. So, it's a rather large document. People just think the charters are Constitution, which is completely wrong. The charter is just a section in our Constitution. And when they try to use a notwithstanding clause in there, it only applies to the charter section, not the rest. So this is why you don't want things like private property rights brought into the charter, because all of a sudden they'll whisk them away under the notwithstanding clause. So any party that ever says you need private property rights in the charter, never vote for them, period.
And here's a good point also, Star. Thanks for bringing that up. Half of Oregon has decided they don't want to have anything more to do with the far left, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Communist League maniacs in Portland, destroying everything, and they want to join Idaho. And so you should. Everybody on the east side of Oregon pretty much wants out. And, Oregon, out of all the American states out there, if you're looking for a little bit of everything, Oregon is the only state that has a little bit of everything. They got mountains, they got hiking trails, they got the ocean, they got everything. It's a beautiful place. It's too bad it's so far left and so far crazy. Now, we got Mike Martins joining us, Mike in the Night, who talked about what we're talking about 6 months ago. Mike, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you folks again. Stefano looks pretty cool tonight. Look kind of like a Elvis impersonator, kind of cool. And so if you guys want to share my screen, if you don't mind. There it is. Tonight's show, whose line is it anyway?
Okay, but you got to explain the joke to everybody. Go ahead.
well, obviously, we're still on the hunt right now. We're still pursuing, and we got a lot of undercovers. Still working to find out whose drugs whose marijuana, whose cocaine, whose drugs they found in the White House. So it's going to be a big ordeal. It's going to be a lot of investigating, a lot of taxpayers' money, but eventually they will come. They'll come with results. But let's just keep our fingers crossed here.
Yeah, we certainly will. And for those who are wondering, yeah, we are watching the chat rooms in both D Live and in Rumble. The only problem is that StreamYard is our broadcasting software. It allows comments in from Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yep.
That's about it. Doesn't let them in from Rumble. So believe me, there are a couple of companies I'm in negotiations with to have our own server set up so that everybody can be in the same chat room throughout the entire show. But yes, we had a big pile of cocaine found in the White House, and of course, it's nobody's cocaine.
It's not Hunter's. What are you talking about?
You know that the president and his family are the only people that don't get searched when they go into the White House.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, that's interesting. Come on. It's just, this is so ridiculous. People call the White House, Washington, D.C., they call it the big top.
Yeah. They've been, it's over. It just over. How do you say it? Not overwhelming. It's just overly
Overrated.
done. Up the top.
Over the top.
Over the top. Yeah. Thank you, Stefanos.
All right. And here's the thing also, and I really want everyone to understand this, is that Washington, D.C., when I was there as a kid in 1984, the city was kind of run down as a town. but it still had absolutely every single piece of American culture within it. The Smithsonian Institute is the greatest museum in the world. It truly is. The Air and Space Museum, where they have rockets that you can see. The Bell X-1, the first plane to break the sound barrier, there. You know, they also have a new one. I don't know if anyone's been to this one in Washington, D.C. It's in Dulles International Airport. The actual Air and Space Museum, they have an SR-71 Blackbird. They have the last Concorde that Air France owned before they dismantled them all. There's a whole Concorde. You can walk underneath the Concorde. And you know what bothers me also, though, or bothers me about, not also, but bothers me in general, is that Alouette 1 is the first satellite that Canada put into space. It was brought back down for some reason. It's in the American Museum. Isn't that crazy? Like, Canadians just don't care about their culture. Americans do. And Americans are incredible at selling it. Now, when I was in Washington, D.C. 4 years ago, I was amazed at how clean the city is. And I took my kids to every single Smithsonian Institute. You got to see them all. The only one you had to pay for was the Black History one for some reason. Don't know why. So we skipped that one because the hotels were expensive. But it's an incredible place. I haven't been since Trump had the election stolen from him. Have you been to D.C. in the last 2 years, April, to see it?
Not in the last 2 years. No.
But
I've been there.
Do we know if it's all still fenced off?
Oh, it's still fenced up. Yeah. And in fact, it seems to me like they just fenced some other area not too long ago. And I mean, you gotta know that's how mad the American people are. And, you know, some people, not myself, feel as if Washington, D.C. and the White House and all this historical stuff that's there is like sacred land. Okay. I don't feel that way. I feel like it is time for it to go. That's how I feel. I mean, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but that's how I feel.
It's become more of a monarchy than anything else. And
yeah.
And the Republic of Texas, General Sam Houston, when they won that Mexican Texican War, General Sam Houston, who was the first president of the Republic of Texas, made sure that in his constitution that there's a clause that they could secede from the Union at any time, right? That they could become an independent country if they feel unsafe or unwavering, because Washington's just too far away. Like, the further you get away from the capital, the less presence or the less grip that they have on you, the further away from the capital.
I think the less informed the leadership would be, the further they are away. Look at Canada. Look how big Canada is. It's the second biggest landmass in the world. Calgary is 2 time zones away from Ottawa, and Ottawa is full of morons anyway. So the province of Alberta suffers. We're down to about 2% of the oil production that we had in this province versus 1988. And it's because of Ottawa implementing battery technology crap and green crap. The biggest wind farm in North America is now in Alberta. And half the time, not even half, I'd say 3/4 of the time, none of them are spinning.
Hey, did you know that Canada is at an all-time high for exporting oil? We're just not going to give it to our own people. We're going to bring electric in, but we're doing record number of exports right now on oil. We're doing awesome. And as far as wind turbines in Alberta being the capital, look out, because they got a great new plan now. They're going to go to First Nations because natives have all these massive wide open lands, and they're going to make contracts with them where, don't kid yourself, the natives already own almost all the wind turbines, a lot of them anyways, in partnership, or some of them solely in Ontario. But this is where they're going to head on that because, money buys everything. They don't care for environment. Don't kid yourself, everybody. This is all about money, nothing else.
That's true.
All right. Very good. Everybody, could I ask a small favor of everyone? It'll cost you $0.00. Could everybody who's in the Rumble room right now just go ahead and type hello? Because some of you are saying that your comments are not getting through. We should have at least a couple of 100 comments or hellos come up. If everybody could just go ahead and do that now. And everybody watching on D Live, if we could get the same thing done, please. We're just making sure that the chat rooms are working. And Sue, are we in Missouri? We're not. No. I'm in Calgary, Alberta. But that this lovely young lady is. She is. For sure. Mike, you had some commentary also to bring up on the election possibly not happening in 2024. Let's hear your take.
Well, if you could share my screen real quick, I'll just kind of bring you through a memory lane here. So 7 months ago, I put up a video saying why Canada won't have another federal election, no election in 2025 in Canada, accountability. Now, the reason I'm projecting towards this is because the accountability is absolutely horrendous. The accountability on the table in the last, never mind the last 10 years, the last 3 years it's so overwhelming that a lot of the leaders or a lot of the selected leaders are cutting and leaving, like Scott Morrison in Australia, Jacinta Ardern in New Zealand. All these big leaders, Boris Johnson, are finding ways to get themselves kind of kicked off and kind of move away. And this is the accountability that's on the table. It's crazy. The only way I could see Canada having another federal election is if they pass a law disallowing the next administration from investigating the previous administration, because it's just overwhelming. Like the amount of crime, lies, deceit, mishandling of our funds, destruction of the Canadian middle class. And then it goes into this because everyone thinks Pierre Poilievre is going to save the world. I had a question for him 2 years ago because for some reason he wants to fix our housing crisis. You can't fix the housing crisis unless you actually could fix the money laundering problem. And here it is right here from 2 years ago. The RCMP is shutting down its financial crimes unit in Ontario. Here's why former top Mounties say it's a mistake. They were ready to arrest tens of thousands, if not 100,000 plus nationals from China or different parts, but mainly from China, for laundering money. But they couldn't do it because we need their money. And it ties into this. Canada would be in a recession without money laundering. And if it wasn't for money laundering and the blue states of America, money laundering, they're all benched and they're all built off money laundering. That's why you're having Wagons East. And that's why I coined a term 7 years ago called Amerifornia, where America will turn into Amerifornia, where it turns into all of California with multiple layers of government, mass unemployment, homelessness, fentanyl, all kinds of crap. Now,
okay, Mike, I wanted to point something out very quickly here. This, all right, San Francisco, it's now been stated that it's never going to recover. It was once the premier city in the entire country of America. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. This here is an app that if you see human feces on the sidewalks or the street or in back alleys, you could just go ahead, take a photograph of it and hit pin, and it will pin it up. So as soon as this app is released, this is all the human feces that we have all over the streets in San Francisco. Yeah, that's why the pins are brown, obviously. So we've got a very big problem in North America in that we don't have any real men leading anymore. And the one that we did obviously had the election stolen from him. This is a huge problem. Now, on top of all the crapping on the streets that's going on, there's the homelessness, there is the fentanyl crisis, and we know that that China and the Islamic nations out there, they're the ones supplying all the fentanyl. Why? It's incredibly cheap to manufacture, and it's really easy to find plebes to sell the stuff. Period. And you'll notice that the Chinese and the Islamic gangs selling this stuff, they don't use it themselves. So they're forcing it on the black and the white community. That's what they're doing. We don't have leadership to stop it. That's a very big problem. Mike, go ahead.
All right, so this leads us to, if you can share my screen real quick, sorry. This leads us to today's show, and I basically made a prediction a few months back. There will be no Democratic primaries in 2024. Selection has been made. People have no say. So I believe that they won't have a Democratic primary for the Democratic Party in the United States. I would love, of course, we all want to see the primaries, and we want to see Joe Biden get his ass whooped. By who? RFK Jr. now calling for investigation of Biden corruption. Oops, sorry. Yeah. RFK Jr. seizing lawful firearms will not stop mass shootings.
Of course it won't.
RFK Jr. drops vaccine truth bombs on Fox News, hitting Fauci hard. So I'd love to see this man run in the primaries and kill or, take out Biden in the primaries, clean the floor with them. And my dream, I'd give my left nut to see a Trump versus RFK. I'd give my left nut to see that. But
it would make for the best television in the world, I'll tell you that.
RFK likes his chances against Biden in 2024 presidential primaries. But the question is, are they going to allow to have a primary? Because they're already saying, and I made that video a few months back, no, you can't say nothing. We don't care. We love Joe Biden. Joe Biden's our man. Joe Biden knows what he's doing. Joe Biden is the king. And they've been saying, we're not going to have no primaries for the Democrats. That's it. So here goes. RFK Jr. floats idea for government-owned social media free of censorship.
What? A government-owned social media free?
Just so you know, RFK. The problem with him is he's Democrat. Okay.
Yes, no, I totally understand. I'd love to see RFK.
Well, I know you do. I know you get it. I just want everybody else in the room to know that all this crap where they say that he's loved by the right and he's loved by the left, we're now trying to get the right to understand, because some of these people on the right are saying that they want RFK to be Donald Trump's running mate. And I'm like, you're insane. That's no. That is a no.
I just got to say this, saying to have a government run or owned state, social network, whatever, that's not censored is like saying you're going to have a tax neutral tax that you don't pay a tax on. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
For our American friends here, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, more than 60% of FM and AM frequencies in Canada are CBC radio stations, and they are god awful. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation has a $1.4 billion annual budget to spend. That's tax dollars. And they have not put a show in the top 20 in the Canadian ratings for the last decade. And there is not a lot of Canadian content, let me tell you. There really isn't. So what the hell are they doing wrong?
It's the
Ed's here.
Sorry, guys. I gotta give the CBC a plug.
Oh.
If ever you can't fall asleep, turn on the CBC. It'll put you to sleep and like that.
It's a cure for insomnia.
So boring.
I have to call attention to Dan's comment there. RFK Jr. is a beefcake, though. That's funny. Yeah, that's a good one. That was a good one. But that does not qualify you to be president. Just saying.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
And Mike, talking about money laundering and such, the Pandora Papers that were leaked. I think it was like 12 or 22 million papers of all money laundered offshore. A bunch is all of our and even currently elected MPs, Liberal Party, Conservative Party, same thing on the provincial level. And then you have a story from the CBC saying that the MPs are calling for action against this. Yeah, right. MP Philomena Tassi of the Liberal Party, she's got her Dreams charity. It's all offshore, all money laundering, land theft, all sorts of stuff, a lawyer mortgage land fraud. So, yeah, right, people. You should look it up, Pandora Papers.
Yeah, there's a lot of it there. And as Stefanos has said, what we have is MP means member of parliament in Canada. And our members of parliament are supposed to represent we the people like your senators would in the States, but they don't. And they are almost in Canada completely immune to any particular type of prosecution. So this is not the United States, unfortunately. If judges do something illegal in court, you can't sue them and they can't do jail time. In the States, they can do jail time and be sued and lose everything that they've got. Now, there's no such freedom here to sue judges and or members of parliament. If you do sue the police or member of parliament here, the odds of it getting tossed out the door by the judge, it's almost 100%. Now, Stefanos and I disagree on the validity of the Canadian courts. I say they are completely invalid. He says some of them are. I'm going to have to disagree with you, my friend, but we'll agree to disagree. Nonetheless, I like the fact that you can sue the cops in the States and win. You can, and senators who break the law can go to jail. I love that. Yes, members of parliament don't go to jail in Canada. It's crazy.
No, wait. They had I think they let Duffy off, but the other guy, I can't remember his name. They got him screwed over. But I'll tell you, the only time they will, an MP or an MPP will end up getting charged or anything is when all the parties, and I'm talking all of them, decide to do it and tell their henchmen to go ahead and do it. Other than that, the henchmen won't do anything because that's the hand that feeds them, and that they're there to protect them, not the people.
Hey, you guys know that the Russian military is singing about Joe Biden, eh?
Oh, they love him.
Yeah, you want to see the video?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Помни, братишка, мы были в аду. Наш Петр взялся, как пуля от него. Сидели взять, и знали отца. Здесь нас убивают, и нам все равно. Мы же из спецназа. Оба! Мы же из спецназа. Давай, братан, пить, курить бросай. Давай, давай, на берег давай. Крепкое тело, за плечом автомат. Пуля дура, но не дурен солдат. Дан приказ, стреляй с руки. Но сначала разберись, где свои, где враги. Укрепляй нервы, лишает морщин. Спецназ это дело настоящий мужчин. Мы же из спецназа. Откуда? Мы же из спецназа.
I was trying to get the translator up here to see if that was what they were saying.
Well, the thing is, though, and this is what people don't get, is that Russian culture is dead set against child trafficking. They hate pedophiles. They hate them. So what's happened here is the Democrats have unfortunately put the banner of pedophilia welcome over top of the American flag. The same thing's happening here in Canada. For our American friends watching right now, in about the second month of Trudeau being in office as prime minister, he decided to legalize bestiality. That was his claim to fame. Yeah, that's right. And we're all saying, yeah, right. I really wish that that more of the world knew that. But the big problem here is all of the news is completely owned and operated by the government here. All of it. Every news network is CNN, but worse in Canada.
Well, you can say the same thing about the American media too, because it's all, I mean, they pretend like it isn't, but it actually is. Okay? So you can't, I mean, even, it doesn't even matter what it is. Even Newsmax is compromised. And I don't give a crap what people say, because Newsmax has done a lot of stuff and broadcasts a lot of stuff that's just BS. I mean, it just is. And it's like, okay, so you're basically what Fox News was right before they fell.
Yeah, and Fox, without Tucker Carlson, they have fallen. They're done. They're not coming back. Yeah, that's a very, very bad move. They're done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
Elon Musk, he's is it autistic? He's something, but he's not stupid. And he grabbed Tucker Carlson right away and said, "Hey, broadcast on Twitter." And the left wing.
Yeah, I can't figure out Elon Musk because I don't trust him at all. Okay, not at all.
Nor do
but why?
No, I said nor do I.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I don't trust him, and I kind of sometimes wonder, why is he doing that? Is it to trick the right? It seems like it is to trick us. But I'm very, very cautious about that, because sometimes, like, you'll be on Twitter and you'll say something that you should think would be fine, and it's censored.
How do you figure out?
Ed, before you start cackling, 1 second there, everybody. And we love you, by the way. What I wanted to say here to everybody is that I've opened up more than 45 Twitter accounts, and they've all been banned. So when my name is attached to a Twitter account, boom, it's gone.
You're poison.
It's horrible. So if I could get anybody and everybody to maybe shoot over to kevinjjohnston.me up at the top.
I don't see it.
A very large lawsuit against Twitter.
It's up
There
there
it is,
on the
right-
top somewhere.
The top, yeah, the top middle there. If you go to kevinjjohnston.me, you guys can go to my donate page. We need $240 Canadian to file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Twitter and Elon Musk, specifically because what's going on here is that I get taken down no matter what I say, but all of my detractors are actually on Twitter, and they're giving away what they think is my home address and whatnot. Like there's a place I used to live, and I've been doxxed on Twitter, and I'm not allowed to be on Twitter to defend myself. So let's why don't we do that, folks? Everyone, let's get the $240 tonight if we could, please. I really want to file that suit and open everyone's eyes to the fact that it is possible for one individual to be completely censored from a particular platform. And they've been cutting me off of Twitter since 2017.
Twitter's having. Oh, sorry, Eduardo, go.
Okay, so you know the social credit system is going to come in. We know they're pushing hard for the central digital currency. What are they calling it though? I forgot the name.
CBDC, central bank digital currency.
No. They got a better name for it.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Anyways, they got to figure out who to put in the gulags. So, Kevin, you're number one. They want to put you in there because they know how
I'm
you
probably
think.
right behind him. Mike might be another
I've already
one.
done 7 months of maximum security prison time in Canada simply for telling the truth. You know, and the weird part is I've read my dossier. CSIS, CSIS in Canada would be like a combination of the CIA and the FBI, except incompetent. And what they have is this 2-inch thick file on me where they actually say that I am always preaching, don't fist fight, don't do this, don't do that. Kevin's not a threat, they always say. I'm not a threat to people physically. I don't beat people up. So when I've been accused of uttering threats, that never gets anywhere. They won't even charge me with that stuff. But when I'm speaking about things, they make up charges completely unrelated to what I'm saying to get me into the system. So yesterday was court appearance 421 for me in the last 6 years. Yeah, they keep dragging me into court to talk about the most asinine things. Period. That's socialism, everybody. Canada is communist. You don't want that crap in the United States. So find a way
America, wake up. America, wake up. Your national security threat is Canada. I made that video almost 10 years ago.
Okay,
it's
so
Canada's
basically,
your problem, America. We are turning
you
more
know
and
what?
more.
When before I even knew you guys, which was like a long time ago, remember, Kevin? I mean, it was like really long ago that we.
Well, 2017 was the first time we spoke.
Yeah, sometime. Yeah. So I didn't really think about Canadians as any kind of threat whatsoever. I just thought there was a peaceful, nice nation up there with a bunch of toques and some, maple syrup. Nothing big, nothing. And then I learn all this stuff about Canada. I'm like, holy crap, what's going on up there?
It is a communist dictatorship.
Yes.
What all of you need to do is just go to type this in, everybody. Here, I'll type it for you. All right. Criminal Code of Canada, Section 319, subsections 1, 2, and 3. There you go. So all you folks can read these things for yourself. Essentially, what this law says, if you upset somebody, Clause 2 especially, you're going to go to jail for 2 years. Now, they charged me with hate speech under that code 6 years ago, and it's still in the courts today. And that was done specifically so that I would not be able to run for mayor of my hometown, the city of Mississauga, population 1.1 million, which I did anyway and placed second. So they were using the law against me in 2018 to get me not to run.
Hey,
I smeared you with it. They smeared you with it too, right? They made sure everybody knew that you got charged for hate speech, eh?
Yes. So the only news articles written about me in the city of Mississauga is that I was charged with hate speech. That's it. Not my platform, not my history, not the fact that I grew up there, not the fact that I was Canada's best public speaker or best podcaster, not all the graphic design awards I had won, none of that. It was all a matter of hate speech. That's all that it was.
Back to Twitter. If you got
hold on, Ed. You were with me when this happened. Ed, this guy here, he had a scissor lift elevator. So this trailer he would pull up with would go like 20 feet in the air with this 20-foot long banner saying Kevin J. Johnston for mayor. And this woman rolls her window down, goes, I know you. You're racist. Like, whoa. I said, like, lady, think for yourself. I do think for myself. With the middle finger. Hey, and we're all looking at each other like, what? She's like 40? This 40-year-old white chick screaming at us like that because she read about it in the Mississauga News. It's toilet paper. It's not even a newspaper. So
yeah, we had a lot of people that were giving you a thumbs up though and saying, I'm voting for you.
We did.
Love you.
We had a lot of meals bought for us. We had a lot of chicken wings and pizza brought to us. We had a lot of coffee purchased for us. You know, we had a lot of that. But the sheer revulsion some people had towards me just based on one little headline that they read, which was also a lie, right? To see reactions like that, to see grown women behaving that way. And then, of course, we had the same thing happen in Calgary where I'd say, hey, everyone, Kevin J. Johnston here. And this married couple, F you! Just top of their lungs. They got off their 10 speeds. You're a racist Islamophobe. Spit flying out of their mouths. We had the camera running, and I would ask calmly, because I always stay calm. I never get mad. Do you mind if I ask, where did you get that information from? F you! Ah! They were screaming at us. So there was quite a bit of that, because obviously most Canadians are retards, and they will, like retarded Americans, not all, but you know, the ones that are retarded, they'll go to the CBC for news like retarded Americans will go to CNN for news. This is how it is. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Let's just hope these same people are on their 7th or 8th booster.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
and
yes,
I'm
yes.
so
Sorry.
happy. I
Yes.
have to say, I am so happy that the liberals are promoting not having children, because I'm like, please don't.
Yes.
We do not want you to procreate.
Yes.
I am
and
for that.
if you're liberal, if you're a left-wing thinker, or if you're a Democrat in the States, COVID was absolutely real. Get 50
Get
boosters,
your boosters
a week. Yeah, it's good for you.
Now.
Do it.
Run.
Yes.
Hey, don't give them any tips. You don't want them to stop doing it.
By the way, I know that we have a lot of Americans watching the show today. I wrote a book 3 years ago called Masks Are BS. I debunked all of that nonsense. I got to be careful what I say because April's on YouTube and she might get banned. So I debunked the nonsense. I won't say of what. But if you guys go to my website, just type in Kevin J. Johnston, kevinjjohnston.ca. You can go and grab Masks Are BS, the ebook and the audio book. There's your coupon code. I'm giving my book away absolutely free. So you can get in there and read it and find out for yourself how accurate I was 3 years ago when I put this out. Also, just keep in mind a 1980s style offensive comedy routine. So the book is offensive. Lots of jokes about, you know, stuff that I won't say here because we don't swear on the show. But yeah, there's some bad language in there, everyone. But please, by all means, go get yourself a free copy of that book. Sorry, April, we got to get back now. Yeah, we definitely got to get
from Australia.
Oh, sorry, what?
Mark is from Australia.
Mad Cow Mark, you're talking?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey.
Australia's watching.
He's not giving us the hoof right now, is he?
Yeah, one thing, Mark, I did want to say is I was always a Paul Hogan fan, mainly because he did this Foster's commercial. I didn't understand a word he said. Right, so he walks out. Good night. Foster's. Foster's. Fade to black. That's all I understood. But I loved it because he was Crocodile Dundee, right? But we know that Australia has it worse than Canada does with reference to your out of line, out of whack,
oh boy,
crazy over the top communist government wrapping everybody up. I mean, I did see all the videos where there were concentration camps 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and people were making videos because they were able to sneak their phones in. And I feel horrible for Australians having to go through that, period. Yeah. So let's get back now, April, to 2024. Will there be an election next year? Like, I am deeply concerned about this.
I think they're going to have it. Okay. The people are already getting really pissed off right now about the transgender stuff and the pedophile pushing and all that kind of thing. If they add one more thing on top of that right now, I don't see them lasting at all. Okay. I think they will reject the entire election if they even try to say that they're not going to have it. When I say reject, I mean like they're going to say, you know what, you guys can hold your election if that's what you want to do, but we're rejecting you completely 100% and shutting you out, period, because we're done with it. Like I said, if you go after our children and you go after our money, those are two huge mistakes right there, and they made them.
Yes. Oh, we have to address this. I'm pretty sure Australians don't drink Fosters. Remember, America had a big fascination with Australia back in the 80s. Like that movie Young Einstein was great, Crocodile Dundee and so on. I'm pretty sure that was just a marketing campaign to get Americans to drink Fosters.
Look, that's what the thumbs up was for, by the way, in case you were wondering.
No, I wasn't wondering at all. All right, there we go. All of a sudden, here's the problem. See, this is the big thing with everybody. When you bring up a national beer, all of a sudden, we start getting arguments about what beer tastes like urine and which ones do not. But I am the wrong guy to ask everybody because I can't stand the taste of any beer at all.
I'm with him.
I hate beer in general.
Me
In
too.
fact, because I'm kind of compulsive on what I do, if I liked beer, I honestly would be wider than the screen is now. I'd be 700 pounds. So my vice is black coffee. But listen, folks, don't let me stop you. By all means, argue about beer in the chat. That's what the chat is there for. Have a good time. And for those in Rumble who can't make commentary right now, you have to sign up. You actually have to have a Rumble account, and then you can make comments in there. So that might be part of the problem for folks who can't make that. April, what happens? I'll word it this way. Sorry. If there's not going to be a 2024 federal election, how would that actually get announced? This is the part that I need to know.
Well, I'm sure that the media puppets would nip that real quick. It could come across our phones. You know what I mean? Like a national alert. And it would probably be something like martial law, trying to start a war somewhere. Because, see, the mentality of the American people are the same as like in 1933. When they suspended the ability to vote because they were in the middle of a war. So they might be trying to provoke something like that. So the American people would go, oh gosh, we can't change now. Okay, but I know that's BS, and I'm spreading the word to everyone that's BS. And I think the rest of the people that are on the right know that it's BS because the Democrats, the only thing that they do constantly 24/7 is bombard you with lies. So I don't really think that the majority of the people in the counties, at least, can't talk for the cities, but in the counties at least will call BS on that like in 2 seconds.
But the lies are not even good. They're not even believable lies anymore. They're junk.
They just go back to the same thing they said before.
And that's what Trudeau's trying to do here too. So this is the same crap they're trying to pull here.
Hey, April, my question to you is, do you think we'll have enough people left to vote in the next election?
I think what's going to happen is, and like we said just a minute ago, if the Liberals keep on the way that they're going right now, there won't be any of them to obstruct us from doing what needs to be done, because the Conservatives are having larger families and they're also homeschooling their kids. Because they already know that if you send them to public school, they're going to get indoctrinated.
Okay, Ed, so what's this chart?
This is all COVID vaccines based on findings of Pfizer.
I know, isn't that awesome?
So in the blue states, the numbers are lower.
It's not true.
Well, look at deaths per 100,000 in Kentucky. 19.5. Montana, 11.3. Tennessee, 9.6. Minnesota is 9.
Are you saying that the lines they're saying that more people in red states have died than in blue states?
They're saying there's going to be more people dying per 100,000 in the red states than in the blue states.
Oh, I don't think that's true. No, I don't think
saying that.
There's the numbers.
But those numbers, if you look at them, they're just going from highest to lowest, and you'll see there's a lot of red states that are higher, some are lower than the blue states. So, and
Look at the numbers for California.
one is a bottom. The bottom one is a red state, so that's the lowest of them all. So you can't really make that comparison. It's just going state by state how many have died.
Deaths per 100,000, though. Look, right column, 19 for
Yeah,
Kentucky.
I see what you're saying, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that's true. I think that more people that are liberals do what the government tells them to do. And the people, there are covert red people who do it. But I would say that the majority of the people who are conservative don't. They don't. And they might have taken the first one, but after we told them, you need to stop that, like yesterday, they stopped doing it.
So there was an article that came out, I believe it was last week. Can't remember who published it, but they were saying that the vax now have, remember they were all attacking everybody who wasn't vaxxed up there and saying that, you know, they're putting their lives in danger. Now, from all the adverse effects that they've seen, now they're blaming the people that didn't get vaxxed for not warning them, which they were warned continually from.
Yeah,
but I think that chart there is probably more of a propaganda piece because of the fact that there's absolutely no way in the world that they would know who is a blue, who's politically aligned in a blue state or a red state, how they're aligned, and how dare they even try to bring something as tragic as death from something that was never tested, never safe and effective, and turn it into a political item. That's just ridiculous.
Can I bring up the commercial?
Sorry, I want April to Mike. I want April to address this question, please. This is out of the Rumble chat.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on Rand Paul's office being torched the day after he filed court paperwork against Fauci?
Deliberate.
No, I mean, yeah, we all thought so too.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious. These guys don't even hide it anymore. It's just obvious.
Has anything been done about that? Okay, I guess not. All right.
Please. No.
Mike, what's up?
I just want to do a quick prediction here on the show. A commercial you're going to be seeing on television, on cable television. The commercial is going to kind of be maybe black and whitish and you're going to see people come into the camera and saying, "You're alive today because I took the vaccine." And then a lady in the wheelchair will come up and say, "You're alive today because I took the vaccine." And they're going to start praising people that took the vaccine and were alive because they took the vaccine to stop the spread. That commercial is coming in a few months. I brought it up a few months ago with Eduardo. It will come up. You will see the commercial. Shake a hand of a vaccine participant because they could have saved your life. Watch.
And
Mike?
then I will wear my shirt that says I'm a pureblood.
Mike,
And I'm okay with them staying away from me. Really.
I wanted to actually just bring this up if I could. All over Calgary and all over Edmonton and Red Deer right now, there are dating service signs that you'll find. People are actually advertising that we're professional dating services now. So myself and a couple of my friends, we put it on speakerphone. We made a phone call in to find out a bit more. And we said, the one thing I asked, I said, look, I want really, really, really hot chicks who are great in the sack. But on top of that, they absolutely cannot be vaccinated. First thing out of the guy's mouth. Oh, we can't guarantee that. Majority of people are. All right. And how much do you charge for this service? Oh, $3,500. Yeah. Okay. How many women do you get introduced to for that amount of money? Oh, up to 10. I said, well, do you think you'll be able to find 10 that aren't vaxxed? He says, absolutely not.
Wow.
Yeah. Scary thought. So ladies out there, if you want to be with this great looking guy here, or that looking guy down there, you cannot be vaccinated. Not with the crap that they gave you. Not at all.
I thought you were going to marry Dylan Mulvaney.
Well, that's the other lawsuit that we should file. Dylan Mulvaney has ignored all of my marriage proposals, even though he went out and said, nobody wants to marry me because I'm like, nah. I said, I will. Yeah, me. Well, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out in your crap. I will.
It's too late, Kevin. He fled the country.
He probably did. I think after he killed Bud Light, he ran off.
I have a question for April. an important question. This was announced a few days ago, and I kind of want to put this out there because we're going to see the change in internet. If you want to share my screen, this is actually super major, and I think everybody should pay attention to this part of the show because this is a big problem. This is from Congress.gov. You can find it on your own. It's S1409, Kids Online Safety Act. This is super, super major, and a lot of Democrats and Republicans are signing up for this. This is super, super major. I made a video here. I'm going to tell you what I made a video about it, and this title just tells you exactly what it is. Verified User ID Bill S1409, Global Digital ID, Covered Broadband Internet Access Server. So what they're doing is they're trying to protect the kids. So now they're passing this so that everybody needs internet like ID now, unique to every human being on Earth. And if you're caught using someone else's number, you could actually do time 1 to 3 years in a prison. And another thing they're going to do is you get bonus points for reading and sharing government propaganda.
Yeah, there is another bill that was right before that had to do with the same kind of thing. And the wording in these new documents is kind of interesting because it not only talks about citizens, it talks about also natural live humans. Okay, so they're making a distinguishing difference between what they would call an entity and an alive human, which I thought was very interesting. So what they're doing is they're data collecting for one thing, and they're doing it so that they can put the people that won't comply into jail. They're doing it through the kids, and they're doing it through this other bill. So there's 2 bills on the table, not just that one that you just mentioned. And they're trying to do this tattletale thing also. Yeah. The tattletale thing, like, oh, mommy and daddy are doing this, that, and the other. It's data collection. It's tracking. It's trying to indoctrinate children and make sure that they're on the right page with the government.
Yeah, they started the see something, say something garbage campaign down here again. So I don't know if it's like in Alberta or in the U.S., but they started pushing it really hard in Ontario again.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this is a pretty big one. So because a lot of Democrats and Republicans are on board with this. So basically, they're going to do this in the name of protecting the children. So you have all these pedos, all this crap that's happening, all this stuff is surfacing, the truth's coming out, and then what happens? They play it back on us, and they never let a good travesty go to waste, and they'll go ahead and pass this law in the name of protecting. And 99% of the people won't read all 790 pages of this bill because they're just gonna and that's I read through most of it, and it's just about making sure that everyone that's on the internet has an ID user number, period. And they want to do this in the United States, and hopefully Canada would love to have this, and they'll jump on this like stormtroopers into Poland, and they'll do the same thing and run with it too, and have a unified system and find out who is sharing what and who is propagandizing. And
that's exactly what
Mike, it's funny that you say that because I just read a book today, like Neuromancer from the 70s. That was the first use of the term The Matrix from that novel. And it's frightening about how involved every single human being was with the internet and the fact that there's rogue AIs out there interfering with people's lives. That's exactly what's happening now. Look how easy it is to slander people with AI. AI articles can be written in seconds, and AI knows how to lie incredibly freaking well. Look, like anybody who cares to know, just go to my my Rumble channel, scroll down probably about another like 4 or 5 months ago, but you'll see the article that I had AI write about me eating a live cobra in the city of Edmonton. And it wrote this incredibly structured article about that. Now, Mike, I also want to point out that this whole thing about families, you are correct. If you recall, there's a 19-year-old punk kid decided to call the FBI to say that his dad was on Capitol Hill when the Democrats set up that fake Capitol Hill riot. And he says his son explains why he turned in his father over the January 6th attack. Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You guys can read this for yourself. But essentially what it boils down to is the kid was indoctrinated by the Democrats in the school system and said that, oh, my dad couldn't have been there, but the kid was too stupid to realize the Democrats set that up. So obviously the relationship between that father and son are over. Like forever, obviously. I mean, but this is what they want. They want kids turning in their parents. That's what they want. And the only way now to have a kid who is not dangerous to you as a parent is keep them away from public education institutions.
Right. When I was running for office and I was saying, I think we need to defund the public school, they were like, don't say that. Don't say that. I thought, no, I'm going to say that because one, I believe it. And two, I continually hear these parents and these people saying they're going to run for the school board. I'm like, why? What you need to do is you need to defund them. That's what you need to do. Defund them. Get rid of them. There's no reason to have them.
So you guys talking about the scam, the January 11th or 10th? What was that date?
Well, it was the Capitol Hill riot that took place after
January
the election was stolen from Donald J. Trump. It was the Democrats that set that whole thing up. That riot was not Republicans. Those were Antifa. Those were Democrats that were destroying
FBI.
And the FBI, yes, the FBI was involved. That's true.
FBI and CIA was all over that. So I don't know if you heard about the Coots 4 here in Alberta, April.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Coots, Kevin, you want to give her the lowdown on the...
I'll bring a map up, Ed, so people... Yeah, I'll give you a quick lowdown here. I'm going to bring up the map as to where Coots, Alberta is. Hold on. Coots, Alberta. I want people to see where it is on the map. I will share my map page here in a second.
So 4 of these guys were at the Coots border crossing.
All right, so here's Montana, here's Alberta, here's where I am in Calgary. This is the small town of Coots, Alberta. It's a crappy border town by Sweetgrass, Montana. All right, there was a big protest that was taking place here, coinciding with the truckers' protest in Ottawa. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police decided to frame 4 individuals. What they said was these individuals had brought guns with them and that they were planning to murder RCMP officers, which of course did not happen. The guns that they showed in the photograph were personal firearms owned by RCMP officers. There was no tags on them. They weren't bagged. There was no evidence markers. There was nothing. It was just a bunch of guns on a table in front of an RCMP car. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, guys, ladies and gentlemen, they are a horribly, disgustingly evil police force. Do not think for a second that fancy uniform and the horseback makes them noble. It does not. And these 4 guys have been in jail now for over 540 days without a bail hearing. I think it is 528 now. Sorry, without a bail hearing and without a trial date being set and without disclosure having been provided in any way. So they're called.
Actually, it's worse than that, Kevin.
Oh,
these guys have been in remand for 528 days plus. Not in jail, in remand, which is worse.
Yeah, remand.
Tell people what it's like to be in remand.
This is Billings, Montana. Over here, we have Spokane. This is Coots, just so you know where it is. That is what Canada is. So if the government doesn't want you to speak publicly, you will go to jail for a vast, long period of time.
See, that's the problem with Canada is you don't have any accountability when it comes to courts and judges and law enforcement, all that stuff. So it's like a free-for-all until the Canadian people actually stand up physically and push those guys out of their area. I don't see how you're going to do anything. I really don't.
Okay, April. Now, for our American friends who don't know this, but Canada has had it really, really good since during World War II, not after, but during World War II. The number of natural resources this country has, potash, diamonds, oil, wheat, wood, whatever it might be. It was everything that you could need is here. And the responsibility of defense for Canada fell on the United States of America as our number 1 trading partner. So Canadians have had it so good for so long that they have no idea that their government's at war with them. And they have no idea how to even get into a proper fist fight, let alone defend themselves against crooked cops. Like just nothing, period. The biggest cowards in the world are right here in Canada.
As soon as you disarm the people, then the people are in big trouble.
Yes.
And that's a huge issue. And over and over and over again, one of the first things they do is try to disarm the people.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Canadians kind of let that happen.
Well, the Canadians will let it happen.
Yeah.
Someone just made a comment here saying the trial for the Coots 4 is set for 2024, which means they're going to keep them in prison for another year and a half.
Remand.
In remand. Yeah, remand.
Worse.
Look, hey, the remand centers in Canada, they are super max prisons is what they are. So you go to a super max prison and you stay in the same room, which is about 75 feet by 100 feet maybe, for that entire time. You don't get to leave. You don't get to go outside. Canadian remand centers do not have an outdoors area with grass or otherwise. It's just concrete walls, 20 feet tall with mesh over top. So you can barely see the sky. 2.5 years.
All I gotta say is the RCMP, I'd liken them to a terrorist organization, and I'm not lying. Look it up in Google. Just type in the Dirty Tricks campaign. They literally blew up an oil facility in order to go after a farmer that lived beside it.
So the judge today at the hearing in Lethbridge, he mentioned several times crime, fraud. Stefanos, can you chime in on that, please?
Well, it's if the judge was saying that, I don't know because I wasn't there or anything, but if he's making reference to that, then obviously the judge is saying that these are fraudulent crimes that these people are charged with. So under false pretenses to shut them up, we all know it's for they're political prisoners. The government doesn't like them and brought up fraudulent charges to silence them.
I think the government's just trying to make a point. We can take anybody we want and lock you up for a long, long time on BS charges.
Well, and
they're still investigating after 530 days. Are you kidding me?
And this is why I still disagree with Kevin. You know, the lower courts may get it wrong here and there, but when you get a judge saying stuff like that during a hearing of some sort, that speaks volumes.
Well, it doesn't speak volumes if they're still going to be in that remand center for another year and a half.
Well, there's a procedure and there are rules that they have to go by. So a judge can't just jump up and make a ruling without anyone there. So you have to be careful.
But here's the Crown prosecutor is playing games. They brought in another affidavit today, just before lunch. And these guys are going to be pouring over this affidavit all night. Defense, they got to delay it again because they keep throwing this stuff out after the fact. Like, how long are they going to play this shit?
That's actually a strategy in the Crown or any government, municipalities, whatever, as long as it's government. When they do this kind of stuff, it's purposely done because they know they don't have a leg to stand on. And what they do is they don't want to set a precedent in the courts against themselves. So they will run it until an 11B application is brought forward for delay and it gets thrown out and then there's no ruling on it and it sets no precedent. That is a normal legal tactic I've seen over and over that the government has used.
So we got to encourage the Coots 4 race funds for them, and hopefully the guys will not take the deal, and hopefully they see this to the end. And I think they plan on it.
Okay, so April, I want to ask you this question: If 4 guys that went to a protest that were not armed were arrested and locked up for 524 days without disclosure, without a bail hearing, and without a trial even being scheduled, how would the American populace react to that?
I think they would stand by and watch.
Really?
Yes, because look at January 6th. Look what's going on with January 6th. That's pretty much the same thing that happened. There were people that went into the Capitol because the Capitol Police let them in. And they are still escorted.
They were escorted through.
Yes.
Yeah, they were.
And like, come on in. Look all around. I'll take you to the chamber. And those people have been sitting in prison. Some of them have committed suicide because they couldn't take what was happening to them in that political prisoner situation. Not one of those people that were peaceful, should be there. I think the FBI agent should be there. I think Ray Epps should be there. I think those kind of people should be there. Nancy Pelosi should be there.
Oh, yeah.
But the people that are in there right now that didn't do anything should be out.
So
It's
okay,
not against the law to protest the government. It's not.
exactly. And you bring up a good point about people committing suicide. You know, unless you're involved in the world of law and you're reading case law all the time, or you're tracking certain cases, you'll never, or if you're not directly involved in cases, you're never going to realize that, you know, even insurance claims, in insurance cases, insurance companies delay purposely because by the statistics, and they keep track of all statistics, they know that someone's going to commit suicide. So they wait until that person commits suicide, and then out the window the claim goes. That's another tactic.
We know they committed suicide. We don't know.
No,
Yeah,
we don't know, but this is a tactic. This is what they know, because when let's say you're a husband, you got a wife and kids, and you're on a claim, and you're out of work, and now you've run out of money. It makes the man feel like a complete failure and stuff, and then, you know, it causes problems in the family unit. You know, husband, wife start fighting. The kids can't get to where they want to be. Eventually, the guy ends up killing himself. That is a proven tactic.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, to me, if the American people actually knew that and thought about this, the people that are sitting there in that prison right now, that could be them. In fact, it will be them. It will be happening all over the United States of America, because the American people will not stand up when they need to. If they just, this seems really petty and really stupid, but if they would have stood up against traffic tickets when that started, we wouldn't be here right now, because that traffic ticket is unconstitutional. Stopping people, obstructing them from going from one location to another is illegal when they're not committing a crime. Taking our property, making us register it in the government is against our constitutional rights. Now we're renting our stuff from the government. If the American people would stop this pansy actions that they take and just say, well, I don't want them coming on my yard. Guess what? They're going to come to your yard.
Yeah, look,
You're the low-hanging fruit. It's the people that are in jail right now that they're not standing up for, that are that when we're not doing that, then the government has more power.
yeah, and you bring up a great point. Even in traffic tickets, not on the mobility rights, but in Canada here, in the criminal courts, they had what's called the victim surcharge, and it was brought to court. It's a double punishment, so it's cruel and unusual punishment, and that was one. What happens now? So they got rid of them in criminal court, but they still have them on traffic tickets, because people think $75 is easier to pay than paying $10,000-$20,000 to get the victim surcharge. But the Crown told me, whoa, we know it's coming. It's just a matter of time. So, you know, anywhere where these charges are, it's cruel and unusual punishment. It's double.
Yes, but it's not a crime. That's the whole point.
Exactly. And who's the victim? You are. You're getting your money stolen from you.
People have been brainwashed to think that things are crimes that aren't crimes. And no matter how many times you sit there and you say, I can't even believe how many times I've sit there and said, that is not a crime. Think about what you're saying right now. And the indoctrination is so strong that the person can't, on one hand, they can reason and get it. But when it comes to a traffic ticket, I mean, right now in the United States of America, they're treating people with traffic tickets, with like rolling through a stop sign, getting a speeding ticket, whatever, as a murder. And they're letting second-degree murderers go home with no bond.
I watched the American police execute someone in their car because they wouldn't show them their driver's license.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
So there is no crime.
This person is going to do. Guess what? They might leave and go home. That's what they might do. To kill them, to tase them, to threaten property damage and relieving one of their liberty for something that is not a crime because your sergeant told you it's a crime, because you took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution of your state, which says that you're going to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And then to obstruct people and call things crimes, your duty, the police officer's duty, is to protect your rights, not protect policy. But that's all they ever do is policy, policy, policy. And frankly, I'm sick of it. And the American people get what they deserve if they do not stand up and do something about it.
Okay, Enrico, I want to point this out. In the province of Ontario, which borders Michigan and New York, what you'll find, actually, Michigan and New York, that's true, Michigan and New York. Regardless, Niagara Falls is there, Toronto is there, obviously the biggest city. The capital of Canada, which is Ottawa, is there. Kingston, which was the original capital of Ontario, is there. Hamilton, which would be Canada's Pittsburgh. It's all steel and industry and so on. There's 14.5 million people in the province of Ontario versus a population of not quite 40 million. So that's almost half in one province. Now, the premier, which would be the equivalent of a governor, we call him Fat Ford. His name is Doug Ford. The guy's a massive fat slob. Yeah, we're pretty sure he killed his brother Rob Ford, who was the mayor of Toronto with drugs.
Yes.
But I can't prove it, so I say I think that's what happened. But
I remember this.
This guy comes out and says that they need to hire new police. Now, it's not because people are in danger. It's because they want to charge more tickets and they want to beat up more Canadians. So now cops do not even require a high school diploma. They do not even require a grade 11 or 12 education to become cops. And I'm going to tell you this, cops in Ontario, they're not that smart as it is. Most of their intelligence quotients are under 96. That's not good. And here's the other problem for my American friends. Police officers make six figures in Canada.
Wow.
Now, yeah, so imagine you got a moron of an IQ of, let's say, 90. You give him $108,000 a year. You put this stupid costume on him and you say, hey, you have authority. He's going to believe it. Because morons with that level of intelligence or lack thereof will never get a six-figure job in the private sector. The best they could probably do is janitor at McDonald's, maybe. So they will put a bullet in your head if they are told to do so. That's just how it works in Canada. And cops do not do jail time for murder. They just don't. Not in this country. Period.
They do here.
You know who makes the best wages in Cuba?
No.
Not doctors. It's not engineers.
Hotel workers.
Not hotel workers either.
What is it, Ed?
The cops in the military, the highest paid wages in Cuba by a long shot. That's how Castro keeps the ring on the necks of the Cubans.
Can I add something if that's okay?
Absolutely.
I just want to say that the only thing I'd fight for here in the North is the American Constitution. That's the only thing in Canada, being in Canada, the only thing I'd fight to the knife for, a fight to the knife, would be the American Constitution. It's the only thing the founding fathers brought over that would stop the tyranny from happening. And I wholeheartedly believe that if America loses their constitution, or they rephrase it or try to phase it out, here in Canada we'd go dark, and it get pretty dark pretty fast. So I believe in the founding fathers and what they believed, that the tyranny that would come. They have the freedom of speech, but they also have the freedom of assembly and the freedom of the press. And the freedom of the press allows anybody to state anything that's happening anywhere, right? And
the Mike, I agree with you. The American Constitution is the most powerful document ever written by our species.
Yes, I agree.
All right, ever. And America, I'll scold you right now. You're giving it away without a fight.
That's right.
The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, for example, this is a document that clause number 1 says, hey, Canada, we're not going to write laws to impede your life unless, of course, we feel like doing so, in which case we will, which negates everything that comes after it. Now, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. And that goes on to make a brazen statement that there is the one nation, there's God's law, and everything here is to protect the people. That is what it says in your document. Do not let that go without a fight. And when I say a fight, I mean a revolution if you have to. That document must be protected at all costs. Whenever I go to Washington, D.C., the first place I go, not a word of a lie, is to Arlington Cemetery and pay my respects. The second place is the Rotunda in Washington, D.C., where I look at your document and there are always tears in my eyes because Canada has nothing like it, and nor does any other country in the world. It must be defended, period.
So, look, I put a link in the private chat. If you want to throw it up, go ahead. But as in our American brothers, it's the same as in Canada. Police their job is not to serve and protect the people. I've said it a million times, and your proof is there. It is over and over. Police do not owe a duty to a private person. They are only there to protect the interest of the government, whatever level it is that hires them. So this case here in particular is in Ontario, and Canada has taken the same stance as the USA. So they are henchmen, literally. They are the jackboot brown shirts that push and protect the politicians. You're never going to get accountability from them against a politician.
Well, that's correct. I'm running for mayor in 2 different cities at 2 different dates, and the current sitting mayors told the cops to come and arrest me, so they did, for nothing. Yeah, there you go, everyone.
Yeah, because you don't have. I don't know what do they swear an oath to?
The Queen.
Your cops.
Garbage. Their oath is garbage, and this is exactly the same in the U.S. Look up my American people that are watching this right now. Look it up yourself. You're going to see the same thing. They owe no duty to a private person. They owe nothing.
Well, I'm just going to tell you that I have some cops' oaths on my desk because we're doing some kind of we're doing a traffic case. So I'm pulling their oaths of office to see what they say, because I'm pretty sure the cops don't know what they say. And they are swearing an oath to the Constitution. They're swearing an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of their state. They're not They're not sworn to uphold policies of their city, town, whatever.
That's right. But when they don't own a duty to you, I could literally be getting my fingers cut off because I have a lot of jewelry on them and being murdered right in front of them. There's no requirement for them to act. They can just sit back and watch. There's no requirement whatsoever. And I learned this when I think it was the second or the third time I was suing the criminal Niagara Regional Police down here. And I call them criminal because they smuggle drugs across here, mozzarella, cheese, low grade. That's why we call them the mozzarella mafia. They're a bunch of criminals, and that's the bottom line.
Because Niagara Falls is right on the U.S. border there. So
I'm pretty sure in that oath of office it does say to serve and protect. So
you're correct. To serve and protect the level of government that hires them, not the people.
Not in the United States of America.
But in New York City.
Trust me. Look it up. Look at the cases. You'll find the same thing.
Yeah. See what happened in New York City? There was a guy.
What they do and what they swear an oath to are 2 different things.
Correct. But in New York City, the case was set there. It's about 10 years ago. There was a guy being stabbed to death on the subway, and there were 2 New York cops just stood in the other car watching it happen. When the guy with the knife took off, then they came in and took notes. And the courts ruled that they didn't have to act. They had no duty to act to protect a citizen. That started in New York City.
Well, you have to understand that our courts are rigged too. I mean, especially when you're talking about New York. I mean, it's already rigged. If one of the problems we have is people use attorneys, which are court officers. Okay. Court officers swear an oath to uphold the court. That's it. Now, each one, the judge has an oath to the Constitution, but the court officers don't. The attorneys don't. The prosecuting attorney doesn't. They don't have an oath like that. So when you're using court officers, and the only thing that judges can do in cases is they can only rule on a motion that's before them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And they can only
April.
decide on what arguments are made before them. All right, folks, we're just about out of time here. Mike, thanks for being here. Tell everybody how they can reach you and talk about your awesome show on the weekends.
Well, I do a show called Mike in the Night. We have to do it on Rumble, unfortunately, after 17 YouTube suspensions. It's called Mike in the Night. It's on Rumble. Kevin's been on there. Stefanos has been on Mike in the Night. Everyone's been on Mike in the Night. April, if you ever want to come on. And basically, it's everyone from the Commonwealth, from Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and Canada. We've been doing it since 2016, and we're on episode 515.
And Mike tends to be, like I said, 6 months to a year ahead of everybody when he makes predictions. Mike, you're the best, man. We love you. Thanks for being here, pal.
I have spoken.
You have indeed. That's Mike and Night. Stefanos, final statements. Go ahead.
Yeah, April, in private, I sent you up a link. Same thing. This is in America. But good news, everybody. Disney's leaving freaking Florida, and guess where they're coming? Niagara Falls.
No, that's a lie. Are you serious?
Marineland's property. They're going to be moving down here. Lord help us. Protect your children. Hide them. You know, there's going to be even more children missing when they get here. Have a good night.
Are you serious?
That's what he said.
No.
I'm serious.
No. Okay. Disney, just, you know what? Give up. Fold up shop. You're not needed in Canada. Just Stefanos, thanks for being here, brother.
Thanks for having me.
See you next week, pal. All right, April. So you get the second to last word. The penultimate word is yours. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say, people, you got to know your rights. You got to know how to protect your rights, because nobody's going to do it for you. That's just the way it is. Nobody is going to do it for you. And in Canada, man, I don't even know what to say, because you don't have a constitution like we do. And that's just really, really sad.
Not even
we will try, Kevin. We will try to hold it together down here.
Well, I know that you will. I'm really hoping that everybody who's got a Republican tendency, or even just wants their lives back, gets a hold of you. Everybody watching, watch April LaJUNE. How do they find you, April?
I am on YouTube, Rumble, Clout Hub, DLive, Twitch, Facebook, all under April LaJUNE. And I broadcast Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay. So you're on every social media platform, but you forgot to say Pornhub. Are you there?
No, I'm not there.
Well, you probably get a ton of traffic there. Yeah. It's great to see you. You know, I love having you on the show. I'm so happy that we first met almost 6 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a lovely, lovely, lovely 6 years. So I want to say thanks again for being here, April. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too. Talk to you later.
Promise. Good night. All right, everyone. That's this week's show. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Kevin J. Johnston Show that runs every Tuesday, 9 p.m. New York time. We've got 7 p.m. Calgary Mountain Time, 6 p.m. West Coast time. You got that. And look, folks, the show is always like this. We have some fun. We talk about the stuff that nobody else is going to touch. Well, you know, I want to say that I am always happy to have Americans on this show. Yes, we're based in Canada, but I lived in the United States of America for 4.5 years. I love the place. I've seen a lot of American cities. I've lived in 11 American cities, and I am so upset to see that America is crashing as hard as it is. America, you got to take your country back now. There's never been a country like it in the history of our species, and if it folds, the rest of the Western world goes with it. Please, I beg you, do not let that happen. I love you all, everybody. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Is the center of our gravity. Home is not a privilege that is granted by Her Majesty. A home is our right, a place to raise our family. Home is where we go for tranquility and sanctity. Home is where we feel at peace and we can have some privacy, where I can voice my thoughts and nobody tries to silence me. Home is where commotion turns to settling dust. Home is where we raise our kids to be better than us. And home is more than just a house. Home is where there's unity. Home is where we gather. Home is our communities. Home is the connection that we share when we trust. Home is not not about me. Home is about us. Home is the guiding light within that we feel drawn to. Home is the source of our creation we belong to. Let them try with their lies meant to pull us apart. We always find our way home cause we know it by heart.
All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know no matter where I roam, I'm watching love from high above, I'm not alone.
Home is our cities, our states and our countries. Home is the earth below, the sky above me. Home is the truth we instinctively know, helping us to find home everywhere that we go. But there's many false prophets trying to lead us astray, who want to tell us what to do but not hear what we say. They ignore us while they play their game of righteous pretend, like we don't notice that their rules ain't applying to them. While our children have lost their future, made to cover up their faces, forced to get injections for attendance at their favorite places. Where does it end? When we take to the streets, the government won't call a hearing, they just call the police. And to the faceless stormtroopers, where is your humanity? Just following orders is no excuse for your insanity. It's time to cut the rod out at the source like a cavity. It's time to go home and realize that we're a family.
All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know no matter where I roam, I'm watching love from high above, I'm not alone.
Do you recognize this country? Is this the way you like to live? Constantly harassed to put a mask upon your wife and kids. Cops with riot packs who like to act as if no rights exist. Alive, but we're not really living. What kind of life is this? The world is full of risks, but we don't need protection, cause all of their solutions are much worse than the infection. If we want resolution, we need unity, not politics. Why should we trust somebody who's broken so many promises? But maybe this was meant to be and had to happen all along. The cycle's always spinning and it's darkest right before the dawn. It's funny, to the point of laughing out loud, cause what they said would never happen, well it's happening now. And so many are waking up. Welcome to the front lines, the ones who know behind the clouds will always be the sunshine. You and I see through the lies, no longer alone, and let the compass in our souls guide and carry us home.
All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know no matter where I roam, I'm watching love from high above, I'm not alone. All these long, lonely roads lead me home. I'm watching love from high above, I'm not alone. All these long and lonely roads, they wind and bend, they find me friends, they lead me home. And I know no matter where I roam, I'm watching love from high above, I'm not alone. Take me home.
Okay, and I'm